So I was just checking out the other app that I was working on, this employee management system. Since I did deploy it, it is live, but I hadn't actually checked how it works on a physical like mobile device. Because so far I've just been using the built-in tool like in the browser just to show like this little mobile view, but yeah, and I just thought everything was okay because everything is working fine, as you can see. But when I went on the actual website from my phone, I came across an interesting bug, and it's a really good thing that I decided to do this because I was honestly just banking on this whole display the entire time, which is not good. First of all, when the site initially loads, here, yeah, I still have an iPhone 7, so no screen recording option yet, but when the site initially loads, the site loads like this, like not full screen in the browser. So I always have to zoom out just to get the full view. But anyway, I noticed what's different is when I go to schedules. Here, let me do this. If I go to schedules, look at that. Everything says invalidate. Everything invalid, invalid, invalid. But on the browser, it still shows, oh wait, yeah. On the browser, it shows that everything's working fine. But then I realized this isn't actually the same, it's not running the same way as like another operating system. Interestingly enough, on an Android, it actually works perfectly fine. Like literally everything. There's no issues, even the design is perfect. There's no horizontal scrolling like on the iPhone. It'll have like this, it'll do that thing, which it should not. But on an Android, everything works perfectly fine, which is pretty interesting if I'm being honest. So as soon as you sign in, the design is working fine. There's no extra margin or padding anywhere. It's working as it should be. If I go to schedules, it should load just fine, everything. Yeah. Cool. So that's the interesting thing, is that on the browser and on Android devices, everything works just fine, but I don't know if it's just on iPhones or if it's going to be also for MacBooks. I honestly don't know, but as far as I know, iPhones are not working as it should be. So I already had an idea of how to fix that issue, but that's not really the point of this video. I was trying to find a way to load up the app, like at least in development mode, on my phone, so I can have like a hot reload feature. Just like on the web, if I change some part of the code and save it, then it should do like a live refresh right here. So if I get rid of that, then I think this should be gone. Yeah. There you go, just like that. So I was trying to do something like that on my phone so it'll be much easier to fix the bug. But what I was doing before was I kept on redeploying any changes that I had to Heroku, and then I would reload the website on my phone, and that would take way too long, obviously. It's very inefficient. So I was like, there has to be some way to connect to other devices with a project that I'm working on in development mode. And there's actually a couple of ways that you can do it. First thing is, like, if you have an iPhone and a MacBook, it'll actually make your life a lot easier because all you have to do is connect your phone to the computer and then open Safari, and there's like this developer mode, I guess. And you could do basically the same thing that you do on the web. Like, you could look at all the elements, you can inspect, you can check the console, you can do all those things. Obviously, I don't have a MacBook, but there is a really cool feature that creates React app. It's built into that. Basically, every time I like run the app, then it shows this little message in the console right here. It'll show this, and I've never really noticed this section right here where it says on your network. This allows you to connect to the app in development mode, like with any other device that's connected to the same network. However, I did come across an issue right off the bat. So this in itself does work perfectly fine. Like, had this been just a React app and I don't have like a custom API, which is what I did. I built my own backend for this project. But if I were to use the food review app, then it works really well. So if I just run the app in dev mode, then it should work, as you can see right here. Yep, everything works fine. And that's the thing about this app, is that there's front end and back end, and they're being run on two different ports. Like front end is localhost 3000, and then back end is 8080, for example. And even though I have the address for the front end, and it does load the app, I can't actually make any API calls to the back end, which will essentially make the app useless. There's just gonna be this like CORS error from the browser when I like try to make an API call from a different domain that's compared from the front end and the back end. It's like a built-in security feature for like all browsers. It just didn't occur to me the first time around that I can use the same approach as here, but with the backend port number. And the only way to do that is through using the IP address, or I think you can also use like the computer's name itself with the port number. It's kind of interesting. The most common solution that I came across like when I was doing research online was to use ngrok, and it is really useful. Like I've used it before, and it just basically allows, like, it creates a tunnel to like a local address, and you can access it like on the web from a different device, as long as the local host is still running itself. But there were a couple of issues with using that approach, and the first thing is that like I would have to generate a new address each and every time I would work on this app. So like, I mean, it did work fine for the time being, but let's see, what was it? ngrok http. So what I had to do is generate a new address each time I want to work on this app, and then copy and paste here, and then I would have to create a production build folder so that I can serve it statically, like through Express. And that was much better and technically faster than having to redeploy the entire app to Heroku each and every time and then access like the live website. But it still wasn't the same as like, or even close to, React's like hot reload feature, where the changes are basically instantaneous. I did eventually come across a solution, if I can find it. Yeah, it was this one. Okay, so this totally beats everything else. This is basically like the last thing that I came across, which is going to be using this approach right here. It includes like a hot reload feature. Oh, it includes a hot reload feature. It's supposed to be the same method that the front end has, which is using the IP address and then followed by the port number that the app is running on. So I had to actually change the back end, where'd it go, on my index. So instead of listening to port 5000, which was the very first port that I initially started with, it has to be port 80 or 8080. They both work. At least for me it does. But 80 is the important number. And that's because I eventually found out that port 80 is used for web browsing. So that's where you can send like API requests over the browser, like HTTP requests. And if we look here, yeah, these are all different ports, and then it says right here, 80 is used for HTTP in the web. That was it. That was actually it. And once I save this, and if I run the app, then I'll be able to have access to the app in development mode with all the same features, well, except for the inspection of elements. That's, I think, yeah, that would only be like on a MacBook and an iPhone. But it's okay. The only thing I was really looking for was a hot reload feature. So if I were to refresh the page, oh god, this thing again. And it should work. Voila, look at that. But yes, now I can, oh yeah, that's one of the original problems I came across to design. Okay, so like if I get rid of this part right here, which should remove this section, I'll see the live changes on my phone as well. I have this section deleted or selected, and then I'm gonna delete it, and then I'm gonna save, and then both my phone and the browser should refresh together. And look, oh wait, that's not it. Scratch that. It was doing a hot reload on my phone, but it wasn't doing a hot reload like on the browser with 8080. So I guess you do have to use 80 or port 80 because it still works on the phone, but it stops working on the computer. Okay, but anywho, if we go here, try to delete this, as you can see, right there, it should be deleted. So let me get this, delete that, and then once I save it, both of them are updated live. Whew. That is really cool. That is really, really cool. So yeah, that was a huge learning process. I did learn a lot more about NGRock and tunneling and proxies and all that fun stuff. Really, really useful. Wish I had found out about this much sooner, but I mean, better late than none, right? Or better late than never. Now I can finally start working on the bug that I had originally come across, but somehow ended up here. But I'm really glad I went down this direction, because otherwise I would have never really learned about this stuff, or at least not anytime soon, that's for sure. Yeah, just wanted to share that part. That was a very long journey of trial and error. A long journey. Almost a day, actually. But yeah, I think I'm gonna start working on this now.